Ready for another night?
Yes, sir.
We gotta warm this audience up on this cold night.
Oh, boy. We're warming the beer up now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Hello there.
You ready for a wonderful evening?
A wonderful
With the camera on the side. What's he picking up the garbage on the TV? Is it on TV or picking up that?
Well, you guys are supposed to stop talking technical and say hi to everybody.
Are you picking up that microphone static just on the TV, or are you picking it up on the television?
Rio, great play.
Good production.
We'll be here later.
All right.
Great.
And this is our own representation of a bald eagle. Hi, Dee.
Yeah.
How are you?
This is the flurry of ticket activity.
We'll say something. Happy Valentine's Day. There you go.
Yeah, where's the kids? Get them out of here.
You guys being perverted or
Hi, Wendy.
Pre-birds.
There we are. What?
The pre.
Good evening and welcome to St. Catharines. We appreciate all of you to come out tonight. Join us as we put on our 9th year of shows here at St. Catharines. Tonight's melodrama for her child's sake, or her first false step, stars our typical melodramatic cast, and of course we all know that you folks having been here before, or many of you, when our villain comes out on the stage, what do we expect to hear from the audience? And our fair heroine, when she comes out? You guys are right with it tonight. And our hero, when he comes to save the day? Okay. How many of you have not been to a play here at St. Catharines before? Oh my goodness. Well, I hope you can see already that this is not a normal evening at the theater. Okay, a few announcements. We want to make sure you're very aware that the fire exits are the two doors at the back of the hall where you probably came in one of them. And then out this side, there's our other exits out behind this little flat here that comes down very easily. The other thing you will probably want to know where it is are the restrooms. The restrooms are right past the bar area here, and there are additional restrooms directly below those downstairs, which you can get to by going through this back door and down those stairs. One thing that we do for ourselves every year is buy souvenir mugs that we give to all the cast and the crew. And believe it or not, this year's production, we are consuming 64 of those for ourselves, for all of the people that have helped to put on the production that you will see tonight. There are a few left over, and they are for sale at the bar if you would care to have a souvenir of this evening's performance. We would ask that during intermission, if you do need to smoke, it's nice and cool outside. And we do ask that you not come backstage during the intermission because we have plenty of things to do. We have a special treat of entertainment for you during the first intermission tonight that we are sure you will enjoy. And with that, we would ask that you all at this point stand and join us in honoring our troops overseas by the singing of our national anthem.
Did you ring for me, Miss Payne?
I most certainly did. Didn't you hear me ring, nurse?
No, I didn't.
Then how did you know that I wanted you?
Well, Miss Midge told me you rang. I was busily engaged doing something for myself.
You are supposed to be attending my little sister. That's why you're here. How is Midge this afternoon?
Ever since I was called in on this case 3 weeks ago, I've had the feeling that my patient has something on her mind.
Of course she has something on her mind. If she didn't have, she wouldn't need your services.
No, I meant to say that something was troubling Miss Midge.
We all know that. She's suffering from the sudden shock of losing our poor brother, just as we all are. Poor dear Marmaduke. I can't believe even now that he's gone forever.
Well, there certainly can't be any doubt about that. There certainly can't be any doubt about that.
What about that?
I meant to say that it will be a long time before you recover from the shock, dear Miss Payne. Everyone knows how devoted you were to your brother. Why, the hateful old hypocrite. Everyone knows the only thing she ever cared about was his money.
If I allowed myself to give in to my grief, I'd be a lot sicker than Midge. Ever since I was a young girl, I've had to do all the thinking for this entire household.
Oh, I'm sure you have, Miss Payne. The old busybody. She's so busy making everybody around here miserable, she couldn't stop now if she wanted to.
I shall continue to carry on here just as though my dear brother Marmaduke were still with us. Everything shall go on just as it always has.
Does that mean that you're going to continue to operate your cheese factory?
I shall appoint a new manager at the factory, and Payne's Cheese shall continue to serve its public just as it has for the last 50 years.
Has Mr. Duckworth called yet this afternoon?
Are you referring to Mr. Gaylord Duckworth, the lawyer? No, not yet, but I'm expecting him. I've noticed that you seem greatly interested in Mr. Duckworth, nurse.
Why, no, not at all, Miss Payne. Why, it's your sister, Miss Midge, who's asking about him. She seems most anxious to see him.
Why, our little Midge is only a child. Did you mean to tell me that she's interested in this man, Duckworth?
Oh, no, it just sort of slipped out. I didn't mean to tell you.
Why, the idea is preposterous. You seem to forget that my sister is a Payne.
Indeed, I don't.
Ah, well, I shall speak to Midge about this at once.
Oh, no, you mustn't do that, Miss Payne. No, Miss Payne.
Yes, and why not?
Why, because the doctor doesn't want her to have any more excitement. He's afraid that it might bring on another attack.
Perhaps you're right at that, nurse. I shall expect you to see to it that Midge never meets Mr. Duckworth ever again.
Oh, I'll do my best to keep them apart. Rest assured.
Mr. Duckworth seems to have a great deal of savoir-faire. In the few weeks he has been in town, he has impressed me as being a most capable lawyer.
He took over the affairs of your old family lawyer, didn't he?
Ah, yes. Old Mr. Spelvin died just a week before Marmaduke. Gaylord Duckworth has taken over poor Mr. Spelvin's office and is running it now.
So Miss Midge tells me. Little does she know that I've known Duckworth for years. That sly fox will never rest until he has the entire Payne fortune in his possession.
And now, nurse, I think you had better return to Miss Midge. Ah, there you are, Dawson. Dawson, come here. Dawson, didn't you hear me call you?
Oh, I beg your pardon, miss. Were you addressing me?
I most certainly was. Have you forgotten that your name is Dawson?
Well, I'm afraid I have, miss. You see, I've only been here a few days, and after all, my real name isn't Dawson.
All of the Payne butlers have always been called Dawson. It is part of the family tradition, and if you wish to remain here, you will simply have to answer to that name.
Well, I will do my best, miss, but after you've been called the same name for over 50 years, it's a little difficult to assume another. I'm sure you'll understand.
I don't at all. It will be a long time before I'm 50.
I'm sure before you admit to being 50, it will be a very long time.
I'm expecting a call from Mr. Gaylord Duckworth. Let me know the instant he arrives.
Very good, miss.
Amelia?
What is it, nurse?
Amelia,
Yes, nurse?
tell cook I want Miss Midge to have an oyster stew for dinner.
An oyster stew?
Yes, and tell her to be sure that the oysters are fresh today.
Very good, nurse.
And tell her to make absolutely sure that they are grade A oysters from Chesapeake Bay and that they are oversized.
And be sure and tell cook that each and every oyster have a nice round pearl in them, too, won't you, Amelia?
What? Amelia,
Yes, nurse.
if anyone calls for me, I'll be upstairs. I'm going to try to get a little beauty nap.
A beauty nap for that one. If she ever finds a bedroom, she better take a good long sleep.
You've only been here a few short days, but it's easy to tell that your greatest trouble is laziness.
Why, tut, my dear Amelia. How can you think of me as being lazy when you've never seen me do any work?
Well, if you plan on staying here, you work, I can promise you that.
Well, you know, work can be very hazardous to your health. I knew a fellow back in Walla Walla, Washington, that's where it was. Why, this fellow worked so hard that he became a somnambulist. Now, you know what a somnambulist is, don't you, Amelia?
Well, of course I do.
What?
It's a heathen who don't believe in the Lord.
No. A somnambulist, my little dear Irish potato, is a person who walks in his sleep. This chap I knew worked so hard that he began walking in his sleep.
Oh, the poor thing. And then he died from being a sleepwalker.
No, I devised a way of curing him.
You cured him of being a sleepwalker? Now, how did you do that?
Well, it was really quite simple. You see, I merely spread butter all over his bedroom floor.
Spread butter on his bedroom floor? Now, what good would that do?
Well, it cured him of sleepwalking. You see, every time he got out of bed, he would slip on the butter, hit his head on the floor, and wake himself up.
Well, if that ain't the beatness.
No.
I never did see a man like you before.
No, and it's likely that you never will again either, Amelia. But tell me, there's something about this mansion that bothers me. Why do you suppose it is that when Miss Marcella engaged me to work here, she informed me that there was only she and her younger sister Midge living here?
Well, because that's all that's left now that Mr. Marmaduke has passed on.
Oh, and then you never heard of a younger brother by the name of Hillary?
Shh! You mustn't mention that name in this house.
But why not?
Miss Marcella has forbidden anybody to ever mention Mr. Hillary's name since he left home over 3 years ago.
So the younger brother left home, did he? But why?
Well, he and Miss Marcella never did get along too well. She was always trying to boss his life and whatnot, and he just wouldn't stand for it. And one morning when the butler went to wake up Mr. Hillary, he was gone, and he ain't been back since.
So he not only left home, it sounds like he ran away from home.
Well, that's right, but how did you find out about Mr. Hillary?
Well, always the perfect butler. I was listening when Miss Midge told Nurse Bullock about him. Started mentioning his name.
Well, it's a wonder that Miss Midge dared to mention his name here.
Well, it seems like when she was first taken ill, she became delirious and started bantering the name of Hillary all about. Nurse Bullock asked her who he is.
Well,
Can I help?
it's lucky for her that Miss Marcella didn't overhear it. Then the fat really would have been in the fire.
Well, you know, with an absence of 3 years, didn't Hillary ever try to communicate with the family? Didn't he ever send any letters home?
Well, I ain't given to gossiping none, and I don't never carry no tales.
No, I never knew a woman that would carry no tales or gossip. Why, you probably wouldn't even know if Hillary sent letters here.
Oh, wouldn't I, though?
Are we looking for someone?
Listen to this, Dawson. A couple of years ago, a letter come from Mr. Hillary to his brother, Mr. Marmaduke. I see the letter myself, and I recognize the handwriting. But poor Mr. Marmaduke never got that letter.
What makes you so positive of that, Amelia?
Well, it was summertime, and it was as hot as could be. And Miss Marcella ordered the butler to light a fire in the fireplace of her bedroom.
A fire in her bedroom in the middle of summer, but why?
Yeah, that's what the butler wanted to know. Now, why would you be wanting a fire when it's as hot as could be out, he says to Miss Marcella. 'Tis no concern of yours what I want a fire for, she says to the butler. Just do as you're told.
Now, I wonder if I can get her to continue the rest of this interesting tale. Well, I'm sure that she wanted a fire because she probably was suffering from a case of the chills or something.
Chills indeed, 'twas nothing of the sort.
Now, what do you mean? Why then a fire in the summertime?
How can you be so dumb? She wanted a fire so she could burn that letter. I seen her do it myself.
You actually saw Miss Marcella burn a letter that was addressed to her brother?
Shh, not so loud. Miss Marcella doesn't know to this day that I was hiding behind the curtain in her bedroom while she burned the letter.
Well, you can rest assured that your secret is safe with me, dear Amelia. I knew a fellow back in Walla Walla, Washington. That's where I was. Safe.
Never mind about Walla Walla, Washington. You better go on to that bell.
That's an excellent suggestion, and I'll make sure that you hear the story again at another time, Amelia.
Not if I know it, you won't. That man talks so much, somebody ought to stick a pin in his head and let out all the air.
All right, this way, sir. Miss Marcella is awaiting you.
Just a moment, Dawson. I want a word with you before I see Miss Marcella.
A word with me, Mr. Duckworth, sir.
Yes, yesterday Miss Marcella had you make out a list of things for me. I was quite surprised to see that you wrote it in pencil.
Well, sir, I always sign my name in pencil.
Oh, really? May I ask why that is?
Yes, sir. Well, I knew a judge back in Attica, a little town in upstate New York, sir. A legal type, you know. And he always advised me to sign my name in pencil.
But why?
Because he said then I would stay away from the pen, sir.
Very good advice, I'm sure. This man will bear watching. He knows too much for my good.
Oh, Mr. Duckworth, you're here, I see. That will do, Dawson. You may go.
No, very good, miss.
Oh, do be seated.
Why, thank you, dear Miss Marcella. It is no wonder that I hear your praises sung wherever I go. You are the very soul of hospitality.
Oh, that comes natural with me, Mr. Duckworth. I am a pain, you know.
Egad, why must she always remind me of it? Doesn't she think that I have eyes to see with? I'm sorry to have to inform you, dear lady, that my errand here this afternoon is a most unpleasant one.
Unpleasant? But you came regarding my brother Marmaduke's will, didn't you?
Now for the start of the dirty work. We'll discuss the will later, but first I have another matter that I must talk to you about.
But first I must ask you a question, and I expect a direct answer.
I am entirely at your service, dear lady. That service will cost her plenty if she but knew.
As you know, my brother made his will while Mr. Spelman was still alive. Have you read that will yet, Mr. Duckworth?
Of course not, dear lady. Why, I haven't been able to find any trace of that will as yet. That will is in my pocket, and before anybody sees it, it shall be entirely changed and rewritten to suit Gaylord Duckworth. And not one penny of the paying fortune will ever fall into her grasping hand.
It seems very strange to me that the will hasn't been found by now.
No, not at all strange when one considers the circumstances.
What do you mean by that?
Will I be able to pull the wool over her eyes successfully? You have known the late Mr. Spelman for years, therefore you must realize that he conducted his affairs in a most unmethodical manner.
Oh, yes, I know that.
We'll discuss your brother's missing will later, but first, I have a most unpleasant duty to perform. Prepare yourself for a severe shock.
The shock? Is something wrong down at the factory?
This hasn't anything to do with the factory. It concerns your brother, Hilary Payne.
Hillary! How dare you? How dare you mention his name, and in my presence?
Pray, calm yourself, dear lady. Remember, I am your lawyer. I am only acting in your best interest.
Yes, of course. You are right, Mr. Duckworth. Oh, but must we discuss a subject that is so painful to me.
I'm afraid we must. Hillary Payne is a member of your family, regardless of your personal feelings. As your brother...
He is no brother of mine. The relationship ended the night he left this house. A house he shall never be permitted to enter again.
Ah, you're wrong there, dear lady. Hillary Payne belongs here, and you cannot refuse him admittance when he arrives.
When he arrives? Do you mean he intends to come here? To this house?
I am afraid so, but do resume your seat, won't you? There, that's better. Now, please, try to understand that there is nothing personal in what I'm about to say to you.
Oh, the impertinence of him daring to come back to this house. I won't have it, I tell you. I simply will not have it.
Ah, but it needn't be for long. I'm quite certain that Hillary will leave once I have convinced him that he is not to share in the Payne estate.
So that's why he's coming back. Ha! I might have known. He hopes to profit by his brother's death.
Egad, what a selfish female she is. She wants it all for herself. That's the idea. But you may be sure, dear lady, that I will do everything in my power to protect the interests of you and Miss Midge.
Hillary shan't have a penny of Marmaduke's money. I'll see to that.
No, I'll see to that. By the time I get mine, there won't be anything left for anybody else.
How did Hillary learn of my brother's death?
One of your old employees down at the factory learned of Hillary's whereabouts and got in touch with him.
I shall discharge him at once. Who was the man?
I have no idea, but then does that really matter? Our only concern is that Hillary's stay here is of short duration.
Oh, the very thought of having to see him again causes me to feel faint all over. I am in no mood to receive any visitors just now. Oh, let us continue our discussion outside in the garden.
Perhaps I should come back later on.
Oh, no. Oh, there are several things I must talk over with you right now. Oh, you simply must help me out, Mr. Duckworth. I'm so upset from doing it. Everything back.
I'll help her out, all right, but first I'll help myself to the Payne estate.
Very good, Mr. Payne.
Come along, Pansy, and see your new home.
Don't you think we should have had the butler announce us, Hillary?
There you go again with your wifely advice. We've been married long enough that you ought to know by now that when I want your opinion, I'll ask for it.
I'm
Please forgive your little pansy. It's just that I'm so nervous at meeting your two sisters for the first time that I'm not quite myself.
Now remember, I don't want Midge or Marcella to know that I brought my wife and baby here because of our poor circumstances.
But Hillary, it's no disgrace to be poor. Don't you think it's wise to always tell the truth?
How many times in one day must I tell you to keep your opinion to yourself?
I'm sorry.
And if Marcella attempts to question you about your life before we were married, you're not to give her any information.
About my life before we were married, but I'm afraid I don't understand.
Marcella judges everybody by their family background. Why, if she knew the truth, she'd be sure to look down upon you.
You mean because I am an orphan? Because from the time I was a mere babe, I never knew what it was to have a father's care or a fond mother to guide me?
If dear Marcella wants any information, you let her come to me for it. I know how to impress her.
But Hillary, surely you don't expect me to story to your family, do you?
You'll do as I tell you, do you hear?
Please don't excite yourself, Hillary. I'm sure both of your sisters will be delighted to see you after your long absence from home.
Midge might be, but not Marcella. Marcella's always been envious of me.
But she's bound to change and want us to stay once she sees our babe, our own little Heliotrope.
Who's Marcella now?
Well, so you've come back at last, have you?
Yes, Marcella, I'm back. I suppose if you knew I was coming, you'd have killed the fatted calf, eh? Don't you want to give me a little sisterly kiss?
What are you doing here, Hilary Payne? Why have you come back?
Well, I've come back to be with my family, and with you most of all, Marcella. I knew how overjoyed you'd be to see me again.
And who is this person?
This is my wife.
Your wife?
Yes, you know, the girl I married.
Married? You?
Surely you've heard of matrimony, Marcella, although you've never experienced any of its joys.
And this is our daughter, our own little Heliotrope.
You will be good enough to leave me alone with your husband. I wish to have a few words with him in private. Dawson, show our newly arrived guest to the Blue Room.
Certainly, right this way, miss.
Run along, Pansy. I'll join you directly.
Please don't be long, Hilary.
Well, dear sister, just what exactly is it you want with me? Are you going to tell me how delighted you are to have me back home again?
There is no need for pretense between us. I ask you again, why have you come back after all these years?
Well, surely I would think the reason for my return would be obvious. I wanted you to have the pleasure of meeting my wife and our little treasure. Then, too, I came to the conclusion recently that it's high time that you and I buried the hatchet.
Oh, indeed.
So I decided to come back and let you know that I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. I forgive you freely, Marcella.
Oh, so you forgive me, do you? How noble of you.
Oh, don't give me all the credit for my change of heart. Pansy's responsible for most of it.
No, so I have her to thank for your return here, do I? Just who is this girl whom you've married?
I've already told you that. She's my wife.
Oh, Miss Marcella, I'm sorry, I thought you were alone.
Oh, this is Gaylord Duckworth, our attorney, and this is Hilary Payne.
Duckworth, eh? So you're the lawyer who replaced old man Spelman.
That's correct, and I am entirely at your service. I must get him out of the way before too long.
And now I must join my wife. I'm afraid she'll feel a bit cramped up there in the Blue Room.
Cramped? Why should she be?
Well, you see, Marcella, Pansy comes from a very wealthy and influential family. Her parents have always felt that their daughter married far, far beneath her.
That's very easy to understand.
Perhaps I better be going now, Miss Payne.
Oh, no, I insist that you stay. Just how long do you and your family intend to remain here?
Well, I do hope to coax Pansy into making our home here permanently, now that I'll be expected to take charge of things down at the factory.
Take charge of the factory? You?
Well, that's the real reason I came back. That and the fact that I am entirely without funds.
Ah, the factory. I might have known that's why you returned. So, you hope to get your hands on poor Marmaduke's money, do you?
I only want the share my brother left me, and nobody's going to prevent me from having that.
That's what he thinks.
And why should you expect your brother to remember you in his will after the way you left home and shirked all of your responsibilities?
The old boy understood my reasons for doing that. I explained it all to him in a series of letters.
Which he, in turn, never bothered to answer. He never forgave you your unseemly conduct.
Oh, wrong again, Marcella. I had a letter from Marmaduke just about a month before he passed on. It was sent to a friend who sent it on to me.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Oh, it's true. In his letter, Marmaduke said that he admired my courage, and he wished that he were brave enough to get away from you, too. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he made no mention of you in his will. As a matter of fact, I'd be astonished if he did.
Well, I won't endure these insults. I shall see to it that you and your family leave this house at once.
Oh, you'd hardly be that stupid, dear sister. You think of the scandal you'd create, when the whole town would rise up against you, and you'd never be able to live that down. And now, if you'll excuse me, Duckworth, I'll drop by your office in a day or two to discuss the terms of my late brother's will.
Did you hear that, Mr. Duckworth? Did you ever encounter such impertinence?
Pray
without leaving any will. Then he'll leave here immediately.
I could hardly consent to such deception, my dear lady. Why, it wouldn't be ethical, to say the least. I've never seen a female so thoroughly devoid of conscience. Why, she'd sell her soul for money.
I insist that you do my bidding, Mr. Duckworth.
Much our plan is not a feasible one, dear lady. Where there is no will, the heirs share in the estate alike.
Do you mean that if Marmaduke had passed on without leaving any will, that scoundrel upstairs would share everything with Midge and myself?
Of course, that is the law in this state.
Ah, then we must find some other way to rid this house of these unwelcome arrivals. Hilary Payne must leave this house and take his wife and their squalling young brat with them. Have you spoken to Amelia about that matter, nurse?
I was just on my way to speak to her about it now, Miss Marcella. Is there anything else I could do for you?
Nobody can do anything for me now that poor, dear Hilary is gone.
Poor dear Hilary. Oh, she couldn't stand the sight of him.
When I think that I shall never see my dear brother again, I don't know how I can go on.
How much longer are that Mrs. Hilary Payne and her offspring to remain here?
Oh, not much longer, I hope. Where is she now?
She's upstairs with Miss Midge. They seem to have a great deal in common.
No, Midge has been most disobedient of late.
Well, she's under bad influences, I'm afraid. Why, right now, your late brother's wife is probably poisoning Miss Midge's mind against you.
Yes, if she hadn't been ill these past few weeks, I would have suggested that she leave right after the funeral. However, I'll have Mr. Duckworth speak to her. I'm sure he'll know how to get rid of her.
If there's anything that I could do to help you, please don't hesitate to ask, Miss Marcella.
This is Hannah Barrington to see you, Miss Marcella.
Marcella, darling, I just got back into town, and I rushed right over to see you. How are you, dear?
As well as can be expected under the circumstances. Oh, do sit down, Hedda.
Hilary's sudden passing must have been a terrible shock to you.
Oh, it was a tragedy I'll never recover from. Never to think that he had to be taken so young. My own dear, sweet Hilary. Oh!
Her dear, sweet Hilary. Everyone knows
dear. In times of stress, I always remember this quotation. And this too shall pass away. End of quote.
Life will never be the same for me again with Hillary gone. I have nothing to live for now.
I wonder if she really thinks she's fooling me, the old hypocrite.
He had such a wonderful disposition, our Hillary. So sweet and gentle.
I wonder how much longer she can keep this up. She's positively fantastic. You mustn't say you have nothing to live for, Marcella, dearest. You still have Midge. How is the dear girl, by the way?
Well, she's been very ill, but she's much better now. Did your son Basil return with you, Hedda?
Yes, and he can hardly wait to see Midge. No doubt he'll be over this evening. You know she's the only girl he ever paid any attention to.
Oh, Midge and Basil have been friends for such a long time. Nothing ever comes of these boy and girl affairs. Anyhow, Midge is much too young to take any man seriously.
I don't know about that. I was told this evening that the lawyer, Gaylord Duckworth, was quite enamored of Midge.
Gaylord Duckworth and Midge? Oh, that's utterly without foundation.
I was told on excellent authority.
I thought you said you'd been back in town only a few hours.
That's long enough to know what's been going on during my absence. You know how the folk in this town talk, Marcella dear. It's the town's leading industry.
I won't have Midge's name bandied about in this manner.
We'll announce Midge's engagement to my Basil. That'll put an end to these rumors. What's Hillary's wife like? Is she going to be staying here permanently with you?
No, indeed. She'll be leaving here very soon.
The moment I heard that she was going to stay here with you, I knew you would resent having her here.
What's that?
I mean, of course, I can understand that seeing this girl every day would only remind you of your loss.
Yes, that's it, of course. Each time I see her, it reminds me of my poor, darling Hillary. Oh!
Midge, darling, I'm delighted to see you again.
Hello, Mrs. Barrington.
You look lovelier than ever. And Basil is so anxious to see you.
Did you have a nice time while you were away?
Very nice. And I believe in this old quotation. There's no place like home. End of quote.
Midge, dear, I just wanted to tell you, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had company.
That's all right, Pansy. Come on in. I want you to meet Mrs. Barrington.
How do you do, Mrs. Barrington? Midge has told me all about your son. I presume he returned with you?
My son Basil accompanies his mother every place.
I'm so glad for Midge. Now she will have someone to take her out.
But I won't go any place without you, Pansy.
Midge, dear, you must remember that your sister-in-law was just recently widowed.
Well, I'm glad somebody remembered it. Some people seem to have such short memories.
So I've observed.
But Hillary's passing has touched me more deeply than any other experience in my life.
Doesn't seem to have left much of a mark on you.
It has taught me to be kinder to others and to be more tolerant of those around me.
When my husband passed away, I cried every day for months.
And now I must ask you to excuse me. I have something to attend to.
Such impertinence. I wouldn't allow that girl to stay under my roof for more than 2 minutes.
Why, you wouldn't say that if you really knew Pansy, Mrs. Barrington. She's really very sweet, isn't she, Marcella?
Sweet. That all depends on what you've tasted before.
I'll see you in the morning, Marcella. If my Basil does come over this evening, please don't let him stay too late, Midge, dear.
I think it was horrid of Pansy to be so rude to Mrs. Barrington. I've already told you that I don't want you being in this Pansy's company so much, and you have deliberately disobeyed me, Midge.
But Marcella, I think that I ought to be able to make up my own mind about whom I want to spend time with. I'm devoted to Pansy because she's so real, so genuine.
Well, so is a mushroom before it's discovered to be a toadstool.
Mr. Fairfax Kisselberg to see Miss Marcella.
looking mighty fit, Miss Midge.
Why, thank you, Fairfax. Marcella, please tell Pansy I've gone up to my room.
Oh, sit down, Mr. Kisselberg. How long have you worked for us at the factory?
Oh, I've been up to my neck in cheese ever since I was a boy. Reckon I've been with you about 10 years now.
At last you are going to be rewarded for your faithful service. From now on, you shall be the manager at the factory, the head of Payne's Cheese.
Me? The head cheese? You really mean it, Miss Payne?
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, but of course you realize that I can't raise your salary at present, but I do hope to be able to give you more money eventually.
I hope so, too. I'll be 90 and have a beer down the floor by the time she gives me a raise.
And now I want you to join me in my study. I want to give you some instructions.
Evening, ma'am. You're Mr. Hillary's winner, ain't you?
Yes, I am. And you?
I work down at the factory. My name's Fairfax Kisselberg.
Fairfax Kisselberg. What a distinguished name.
Well, I'm glad you like it, ma'am. Yeah, she's Birdie. She reminds me of the wildflowers that grow on the side of the mountains.
Have you worked at the factory long, Mr. Kisselberg?
Ever since I was a boy. Started in by punching holes in Swiss cheese. Been doing it ever since.
How poetic. You must be very strong.
Not as strong as some of the cheese we make.
Oh, Mr. Kisselberg, where are you?
I have to go now. Sure hope I see you again sometime. Excuse me, ma'am.
How kind and good he is, and how proud of his noble calling. And how do I know that he is good? My woman's heart tells me so. While we were talking, I forgot for the nonce that I am steeped in misery.
Good evening, my dear. This is a stroke of luck. I had hoped to find you alone.
Good evening, Mr. Duckworth. I'm afraid I haven't time to talk to you right now.
Why, Pansy, that's what you said last time we met. Why do you dislike me so?
I neither like nor dislike you. Kindly allow me to pass.
Not until I have had my say, Pansy.
It's Mrs. Payne to you. Kindly remember that in the future, sir.
Egad, I have set my heart on having this girl, and nothing shall thwart me. I only want... I only want to be your friend, my dear. As the Payne's attorney, I am in a position to grant you many favors.
When I am in need of favors, I shall seek them elsewhere. And now, if you'll kindly excuse me...
Not until you have promised to be mine.
You do not know what you are saying. I fear you are quite mad.
If I am, it is your great beauty that has caused me to be sad. From the instant I first saw you, I realized that it was love at first sight.
I will not listen to another word of this. Unhand me.
Not until I have pressed a kiss upon those beautiful lips.
I will cry. Unhand me, villain.
Not until I have pressed a kiss upon those fair lips. Let her go, you dog! Horses, I am foiled.
Thank heaven you arrived in time to save me. This fiend was forcing his attentions on me.
Why, Pansy, how could you say such a thing? Oh, the girl waylaid me as I entered this room and confessed her great love for me. You understand, don't you, Kisselberg?
I understand that if you and a polecat met up in the woods, the skunk would be the one to hold his nose.
Hey, you ignorant Beckerhand! What right have you to interfere between Pansy and the man she loves?
Why, that isn't true, I swear it. The very sound of your voice is loathsome to me, Gaylord Duckworth.
You heard that, didn't you?
I heard it, of course, but if that's true, then why did she beg me to take her from here so that we could be alone together?
Take back those words, or I'll shove them down your throat.
Oh, please. No violence, I beg you.
Don't worry, I'm just gonna punch this yellow cur in the nose and push his ears back so they'll meet.
Yet, my good woman.
What's it to you whether I finished or not? 'Tis no concern of yours.
My, how gorgeous you look when you're angry, Amelia. Why, it just brings out the added bloom of your youth.
Well, I ain't quite as good looking as I used to be. I can tell that I ain't when I get ready to go out.
Well, of course you are just as good looking. It just takes you a lot longer to get ready than it used to, that's all.
Where have you been all this time anyway, Dawson?
I was attending to something for Miss Pansy.
Poor Miss Pansy. She's been sick ever since that night she fainted dead away and that fella had to help to revive her. You know the one I mean, that Mr.
Oh, Fairfax Kisselberg.
Oh, Kissenberg, yes, that's the man.
Not Kissenbug, Kisselberg.
Well, what difference does it make? You know who I mean anyway, don't you? Tell me, Dawson, do you know what made Miss Pansy faint?
Well, of course I do.
Well, what was it?
She fainted because she lost consciousness.
Well, of course she lost consciousness. Any fool knows that.
Well, then what did you ask me for, Amelia?
What were you doing for Miss Pansy anyway?
Oh, she asked me to mail a letter for her. You know, it was rather odd. When I got there wasn't a postage stamp on the envelope.
No stamp on the letter. So what did you do?
Well, I mailed it anyway.
You mailed a letter with no stamp on it. Now, why would you be doing that?
Well, I just put the thing in the slot and said, well, let's get rid of this before the rates go up. Oh, God, she's back.
Dawson?
Yes?
Amelia? What are you two doing?
Well, I was cleaning and I was...
We were just chewing the rag, nurse.
Oh, not the dust rag, I hope.
Tell me, nurse, was Miss Pansy's lunch all right?
Yes, thank you. Does cook know we're having fish for dinner?
Fish for dinner, is that a fact? Well, I knew a fellow back in Washington, what a fisherman he was. What a system he had. He would catch on his own fish and sell them in his own market.
You mean to say that he caught all of the fish that he sold in his market?
Yeah, oh, he had a system. He would go out with nothing but a can of peas and a hammer.
A can of peas and a hammer. Now, what good would that do?
Well, it was easy. He just sprinkled peas all around the boat, and when the fish came up to take a pea, he would hit them over the head with that.
Is expecting Mr. Duckworth. If that's him, show him in here, Dawson.
I most certainly will, nurse.
I wish that Duckworth man would stop coming around here. It gives me the creeps just to look at him, it does. I don't like him.
Amelia, you mustn't say such things about Mr. Duckworth. Why, he's from the upper crust.
Now, what did you say, nurse?
I said that Mr. Duckworth is from the upper crust.
Most crumbs are.
Answer the bell at once, Dawson.
Oh, very good, nurse.
Oh, I mustn't forget to go see if Cook has made that custard I ordered for Miss Pansy. I wanted to surprise her just a wee bit.
Just a moment, Amelia. If I had wanted Mrs. Payne to have custard, I would have ordered it for her.
Well, I can't see where a little custard would hurt her none.
You seem to forget that Mrs. Payne is under my care. I am nursing her.
And maybe that's the reason she's been sick for so long.
There's a caller here to see Miss Marcella.
You mean that, hey, gentleman is calling on Miss Marcella Dawson.
I repeat, there's a caller to see Miss Marcella.
That will do, Dawson.
I thought you would agree with me, nurse, if you could see anything.
Hey, insolent beggar, thank fortune I'll soon be rid of him. Now be good enough to tell Miss Marcella Payne that I am here, Dorothy.
First, Gaylord, I want to have a little talk with you.
Not now, I'm pressed for time. Tomorrow, perhaps.
No, right now. Now, I'm tired of being put off, my fine friend.
Why, Dorothy, I don't know what you mean. Egad, how I long to toss her aside like an old glove. This maiden irks me to no end.
What is it? Gaylord, have I done something to displease you?
Why, Dorothy, whatever put such an idea into that pretty head?
Does that mean that you still find me attractive? That you still care for me?
Egad, how I long to... Why, this creature here, she just does things... Why, Dorothy, how can you doubt me even for a moment?
But if you do still care for me, then why can't we be married here and now?
Well, let's not start that all over again.
But you promised, you said that for sure.
Oh, Dorothy, I have told you repeatedly that once the Payne fortune is within my grasp, we shall be wed and leave here for a long honeymoon.
But if you are sincere about this, then why have you evinced such an interest in my patient, Pansy Payne?
Curses, I am discovered. Why, Dorothy, whatever are you saying?
You cannot deny that you have inquired for her every day, and on 2 occasions, you even attempted to see her alone.
Why should I deny it? I must ingratiate myself with the girl's good graces for reasons of my own.
Then you don't actually care for her.
Care for her? Why, Dorothy, the truth of the matter is that I dislike Pansy Payne heartily. Why, I find her arrogant and presumptuous.
Then she must be aware of your dislike for her, since she has refused to see you on 2 occasions alone.
Why, Pansy Payne has refused to see me for a far different reason.
What do you mean?
Jealousy into this spiteful female's heart. Why, Dorothy, if you don't mind, I'd rather not discuss the matter with you.
Now, Gaylord, you're trying to hide something from me. I insist you tell me what it is.
Well, if you must know. Pansy Payne has fallen desperately in love with me.
Why, that's exactly as I thought.
How brilliant of you to figure that out, my dear.
So, she's in love with you, is she? And what gave you the right to encourage her?
You wrong me, Dorothy, really you do. Can I help it if women are always making fools of themselves over me? Can I help it if I appeal to the romantic side of their natures?
Why, that little fool will never take you away from me! Gaylord, you belong to me!
Why, of course I do, my dear. You've nothing to worry about. Why, I shall find a way to discourage Pansy's advances towards me without hurting her too much.
No, I'll handle Pansy Payne. But if she insists on coming between you and me, she'll rue the day she was born.
Now, you must not tell her that we are secretly engaged. That must remain our secret.
I won't tell her anything, but if she doesn't cease pursuing you, I'll see to it that her life is a burden.
Now, you mustn't be too hard on her, my dear.
I'll know how to deal with just leave Pansy Payne to me.
Now, I think you'd better tell Miss Marcella that I am here, Dorothy.
Shall I see you before you leave? Gaylord?
Of course, why? I might even be able to spend some time with you this evening, Dorothy.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Oh.
Egad! What is this strange power I have over women? Why, Pansy Payne is the only... Pansy Payne is the only female who has ever opposed me. Once the Payne fortune is within my grasp, she shall get on her knees and beg my forgiveness. She shall be mine.
Oh, Mr. Duckworth, I didn't realize that you were here.
Why, I hope you don't mind, Miss Payne.
No, of course not. I presume that you've come to see Marcella on business.
Well, that is one reason for my being here. But there is another one, Miss Midge. Have you ever found one spot that the sun seems to shine brighter than in any other place? One spot that you long to come back to over and over again?
Why, yes, that's exactly how I feel about the lake where we go for all of our picnics.
I knew you'd understand. That's why I come here as often as possible, Miss Midge. It is you. Why, your friendship and understanding mean more to me than anything else in this entire world.
Mr. Duckworth, do you realize what you are saying?
Of course. I hope you don't mind my being frank with you, my dear. You are the only bright spot in my sad and lonesome life. I hope that you will never know what it is to be as sad and lonely as I am. Will she be taken by my chatter? If I can succeed in winning her interest, the Payne fortune is as good as mine right now.
But I'm sorry to hear that you're so unhappy, Mr. Duckworth.
Why, Miss Midge, you'll never know what it means to me to hear such kind words coming from your sweet lips. Miss Midge. Miss Midge, do you mind if I ask you a most important question?
Well, no, of course not. What is it, Mr. Duckworth?
Are you and Basil Barrington engaged to be married?
Well, why do you ask?
Because I must know. It means more to me than anything else in this entire world. Why? Won't you tell me? Please.
Well, we're not engaged exactly. You see, we've known each other since we were little children.
I understand completely. You mean that you and Basil Barrington have played together practically since you were infants.
Oh, no. Marcella wouldn't let us play together until we were almost 6 years of age. You know how terribly strict she is. She thought it wouldn't be proper.
But what I am trying to find out is, do you intend on marrying Basil?
Well, I know that he expects me to. Sometimes I think that I will. But then again, I'm not sure.
How wise you are for one of your tender years. What a level head rests upon those lovely shoulders. You do well to hesitate before accepting Barrington. Why, he is not the man for you.
But why do you say that? Is it because you don't like him personally?
No, I have nothing against the gentleman, but what would you be if you married him?
Why, I'd be Mrs. Basil Barrington, of course.
That's it, exactly. That's just what you would be. What? You'd settle down in this town and lead a drab existence. Why, that's all right for the average girl, but not for you, Miss Midge. Why, You should travel and meet all the crowned heads of the universe. Why, you should lead a life of gaiety and variety.
Oh, Mr. Duckworth, do you really think that I could lead such a life?
I don't just think, I am certain of it, but promise me, Miss Midge, that you won't accept Barrington until you and I have had another talk on this matter.
Well, I don't know what to say.
Egad, if I don't obtain her promise, I am ruined. But what have you to lose by making me that promise? You have already told me that you haven't definitely decided to marry Barrington.
Well, that's true. All right, I'll promise. After all, I've waited this long before accepting Basil. It won't hurt if I wait just a little bit longer.
Eureka! This is a lucky day indeed for gay Lord Duckworth. Now I can proceed with my plan.
But you know, Mr. Duckworth, I can't help but remember what you said about the life that I might want to lead. Why, I would love to travel and see the world.
You shall have all that and more too, if you will allow me to help you.
Oh, Mr. Duckworth, I think you're just wonderful.
I have turned her silly little head with my flattery. At last I am on the road to wealth and luxury. This must remain our secret alone, little girl. Yours and mine.
Oh, Marcella, here's Mr. Duckworth.
So I see. I wish to have a few words with Mr. Duckworth in private, Midge. Run along upstairs and play with your dolls.
Just a moment, Miss Midge. Since the business at hand concerns the entire family, Miss Marcella, I think it best that Midge remain.
Well, all right.
And now be good enough to send for Mrs. Hilary Payne.
Is it necessary to have her here?
Of course, she is a member of this family, after all.
Oh, Dawson. Dawson, tell Mrs. Payne that she's wanted down here.
Very good, miss.
Please be seated, Miss Midge.
But what is this all about?
I'll tell you what it's about, Midge. We are going to learn the contents of your brother Marmaduke's will, at last.
Quite so, quite so.
And it's high time the will was read, if you ask me. Surely Hilary wasn't mentioned in the will, was he?
I think it best that we wait for Mrs. Hilary Payne before we go into important matters.
But is the will in my brother's handwriting?
Oh no, the original has been filed in Surrogate's Court. Why, the will I have here is only a copy. And little do they know that both the original and this copy are clever forgeries. The hour of my triumph is at hand.
Oh, if our own Hilary could only be with us now. How I long to see his dear face again.
Pray, calm yourself, dear lady. I shall try to make this as painless as possible for all concerned.
But I do hope that Pansy feels well enough to come down here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you could be with us, my dear.
You sent for me, Marcella?
Now sit down. We are about to hear the contents of my brother's last will and testament.
But Hilary didn't leave any will.
It is my brother Marmaduke's will. Mr. Duckworth felt that you should be here while it's being read. Now be seated.
Do you feel well enough to be down here, Pansy?
Yes, I'm quite myself. Thank you, Midge.
I must insist upon absolute silence. There are not to be any interruptions while Mr. Duckworth is reading the will.
An excellent idea, Miss Marcella. And now for the dirty work.
You may proceed, Mr. Duckworth.
I shall skip the opening stanzas and proceed directly to the bequest. Let me see.
Oh, come, Anton, it's reading.
But Marcella, you said no interruptions.
Ah, yes, the first bequest. To my brother Hilary, I leave the sum of $1, since he won't have need of any more.
Won't have need of any more. But how could Marmaduke have known? What did he mean by that?
What I mean by that is, Since Hillary was always so self-sufficient, I'm quite certain that he will wish to paddle his own canoe wherever he may be.
Well, that explains that.
But there's more, isn't there?
Oh, you can be sure there is more, Midge. Marmaduke would hardly forget us, his own flesh and blood. He was always the very soul of generosity.
The old shrew. Watch her fry now. To my sister Marcella, I leave the sum of $1 and a nice large clam.
$1 for me? Oh, this is outrageous.
But what did he leave her the clam for?
I'll let your brother explain that in his own words. I know that she doesn't need the dollar, but she does need the clam. I hope she will study it carefully and learn to be more like the clam.
I won't endure this humiliation. How dare Marmaduke do such a thing to me, his very own sister? I always said he was a stingy old thing.
But Marcella, you just said he was the very soul of generosity.
Oh, keep quiet, Midge. You're talking entirely too much.
But that's what Marmaduke said about you. That's why he left you the clam.
But if Marmaduke didn't leave anything to Hillary or to me, to whom did he leave his great wealth?
I'm coming to that right now, Miss Marcella. Listen carefully, all of you. To my dear, sweet little sister Midge, I leave my entire fortune, both real and personal, including my interest in the cheese factory.
To me? He left it all to me. Did you hear that, Marcella?
It being understood that Marcella have no say in the handling of the money and no jurisdiction as to how it be spent. Every time that she thinks she'd like to interfere, it is my earnest wish that she study the clam instead.
Oh, this is too much too much!
All of this money I'm leaving Midge is to be placed in the bank in a trust for her and handed over to her on the day that she becomes a bride. A day that I hope is not too far off. And that, ladies, concludes the last will and testament of Marmaduke Payne.
No. I won't stand for this, I tell you. Oh, the man must have been mad to have left such a will. Oh, yes, that's of course. He was stark, staring mad. Oh, well, I intend to go to court and break that will, claiming my share of Marmaduke's fortune.
I assure you, dear lady, that your suit would be thrown on a fork. There are scores of people here in town who would testify as to your brother's sanity.
Oh, I must have time to think. We shall talk about this again this evening, Mr. Duckworth.
Midge, dear, I'm so happy for you. Let me be the first to congratulate you on your good fortune.
Oh, thank you, Pansy.
Allow me to congratulate you as well, my dear. Now tell me, how does it feel to be an heiress?
Oh, I don't feel any different. Just excited, that's all.
I shall have some papers for you to sign in a day or two.
But, Mr. Duckworth, do you really think that Marcella will try to break the will?
Oh, don't worry your pretty little head about that. I'm quite certain that I can convince your sister that she must accept things as they are.
Oh, but that means that I will have to get married in order to get the money.
I'm quite certain that that will be arranged too, my dear.
Oh, hello, Basil. Come on in. You know Mr. Duckworth, don't you?
Yes, hello, Duckworth. Hello, Mrs. Payne. How are you feeling today?
I'm fine, thank you, Basil.
Gee, it's a swell day outside today, Midge. Let's go for a little walk. I want to ask you something special.
Why don't you ask her here, Barrington?
What's that?
I'm sorry, but I want Miss Midge to remain here for the while.
Say, listen, where do you get off telling Midge what to do? What business of yours when she goes anywhere?
Hey, you insolent pup. I'll show you what business it is of mine.
Mr. Duckworth, aren't you forgetting yourself? You mustn't speak to Basil that way.
I'm sorry, Miss Midge. Why, I'm sorry. Basil, let's forget the whole thing, shall we? I'm sorry I lost my temper. After all, we all make mistakes.
True. True, but let's leave your father and mother out of this. Hey, Midge.
I will, dear. Enjoy your walk.
I'm glad to see that your health is so greatly improved, my dear.
Really?
If I hadn't been interested in your health, would I have put myself out to send you flowers every day?
You mean it was you who sent me a box of flowers each day that I was ill?
Of course. Didn't you know that they were from me?
No, there was never any card, and so I...
I omitted enclosing a card purposely. You see, dear lady, I didn't want anyone in this house to suspect our relationship.
Our relationship, Mr. Duckworth? What do you mean by that?
Why, now, Pansy, you must know that I have lost my heart to you. A woman always knows.
I am sorry to have to say this to you, Mr. Duckworth, but I feel compelled to. There aren't words with which to describe how much I loathe you.
You say that because you are in love with Fairfax Kisselberg.
I refuse to discuss Mr. Kisselberg with you. Why, he is as far above you as the sky is above the earth.
Oh, so he's above me, is he? Why, he's nothing but a big cheese.
You wouldn't dare say that if he were here.
Yes. How her beauty maddens me. I must find a way to entrench myself into her good graces. What can I do to convince you of my good graces toward you, Pansy?
By removing your presence from my sight, sir, I would have no further truck with you.
I warn you that I shall use all my efforts to have you thrown from this house in disgrace, an outcast among outcasts.
I do not fear you, Gaylord Duckworth. Do your worst. I defy you.
I shall not rest until I have heaped shame and misery upon your head. You are doomed, Pansy Payne. You are doomed.
At last, I have forced Gaylord Duckworth to reveal himself in his true colors. Was it foolish of me to incur his enmity? But no, he is powerless to harm me. Even if he were to make good his threats, I would far rather endure poverty than dishonor.
Pansy!
Well, this is a surprise. Oh, how the very sound of his voice warms my heart. Causing me to feel suspended between heaven and earth. What brings you here this time of day, Fairfax?
I have to see Miss Marcella about something. I hate to have to story to her, but I don't dare tell her I just been longing for her.
Wouldn't you like to sit here beside me, Fairfax?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to thank you for your kind solicitude while I was ill. It was grand of you to be so thoughtful. I hope you haven't neglected your work on my account, Fairfax.
Oh, I should say not. For God's sakes, Pansy girl, a feller has to have some other interest in life besides cheese. Have you made any plans yet?
Plans?
I mean, now that you're getting well again, I suppose you'll be taking heliotrope and going back to your rich relatives to live.
My what?
Your rich relatives, the ones Hillary spoke about.
Oh, yes, of course, my rich relatives. Dare I tell him I am an orphan? Alone and friendless? But no, that would reflect on Hillary. I must continue to pretend for his sake.
Then you'll be leaving here soon?
I hardly think so, Fairfax. You'll have to excuse me. I have to go upstairs and see how the babe is.
I ain't said nothing to upset you, have I, Pansy girl?
No, of course not. Didn't you say you came here to see Miss Marcella on business?
Yeah.
Well, she's upstairs in her study. Come this way, won't you?
just now?
Well, I didn't refuse you. I just said that I couldn't give you an answer right now, that's all.
But why not? What's the reason for waiting? Why can't you say yes or no right now?
Well, I don't know. I need time to think. It all depends.
Depends? Depends on what?
I just told you. It all depends.
Yeah, I'll bet it depends on that snake of a Gaylord Duckworth, doesn't it?
You're just jealous of Gaylord Duckworth because he's so handsome.
Fairfax.
Why, his face reminds me of a wonderful painting.
Yeah, all his face needs for a frame is a jailhouse window.
Why, Gaylord Duckworth has worked his way to the top of his profession. He's the #1 lawyer in this town.
Oh, that he is all right.
Oh, so you admit it, do you?
Well, you said he was the #1 lawyer in town, didn't you?
I most certainly did.
Well, I can't think of anything lower than #1.
Well, at least Gaylord Duckworth is a gentleman.
Oh, he's a phony. I knew it from the first day that I saw him.
Beth Barrington, I hate you. Do you hear me? I don't ever want to speak to you again.
Oh. Now, what do you know about that? I haven't been so put out since they turned a fire extinguisher on me. That fellow who said all women are impossible certainly knew his onions.
I will do, Doctor. I will show the lady it myself.
It was most fortunate to have run into you by accident, Mr. Duckworth.
I'm glad to be of service, my dear Miss. What did you say your name is?
Hudnut. Beatrice Hudnut. Quite a coincidence, my having run into you when I was in search of the Payne residence.
Yes, it was. Won't you please be seated, Miss, Hudnut?
This is the home of Hillary Payne, isn't it?
Did you say Hillary Payne?
Yes, you see, it suddenly dawned on me today that Hillary once told me a long time ago that he came from here. So I decided to look for his home and to see if he was in town.
I'm sorry to have to inform you, dear lady, that Hillary Payne passed away a few months ago.
Passed away? You mean dead? Oh, poor Hillary.
Did you know the deceased well, Miss Hudnut?
Oh, very well indeed. You see, we were once engaged to be married.
Really?
Oh, yes. That was until he met and wed another.
No doubt you have met the girl who eventually became Mrs. Hillary Payne.
Yes, unfortunately so. You see, it was she who caused Hillary to break off our engagement and to leave me waiting at the church, as the saying goes.
Aha! The plot thickens. I must flatter this female so that I can find out all that she knows. She might prove useful to me. It is difficult to believe that any man who ever saw you, my dear Miss Hudnut, could ever want to leave you.
Well, Hillary did. You see, from the moment that Hillary laid eyes on Pansy Fenton, he had no eyes for anybody else.
Perhaps it was the fact that she came from a wealthy family that had something to do with his great fondness for her.
Wealthy? Did you say wealthy, Mr. Duckworth? Well, that is an astonishing fact.
Isn't it true? Why, we are all given to believe here that Hillary's wife came from a wealthy and influential family.
Oh, wealthy, Pansy Fenton is an orphan. She was raised in a home for foundlings. To this day, she's not even certain if Fenton is her real name.
Oh, what is this you're saying?
All I know is that what I tell you is the absolute truth. Why, when Hillary first met Pansy Fenton, she had absolutely no money. She was looking for work.
Eureka! Once again, fate plays into the hands of Gaylord Duckworth. I shall use this information to intimidate Pansy Payne and force her to accede to my wishes. Perhaps you would like to speak with Hillary's sister, Miss Marcella Payne.
Oh, no, not today. I'm still feeling quite dazed by the news of Hillary's passing. No, I must be getting back to my hotel. I'm staying at the Cottage Hotel nearby. Please, drop by.
I shall show you to the door, Miss Hudnut.
Oh, that won't be necessary. I can find the way myself. Good day, Mr. Duckworth. It's been most pleasant meeting you.
Oh, you will never know what this meeting has meant to me, my dear Miss Hudnut. Good day. Aha, at last, Pansy Payne, you are trapped. Trapped in a web from which you can never make good your escape. Nothing can save you now. Just a moment, Pansy. I want a word with you about a most important business matter.
I am not interested in any business that concerns you, Mr. Duckworth.
The business I'm referring to concerns you, Pansy. It is vital that you hear what I have to say.
What fresh villainy are you plotting now, Gaylord Duckworth?
You wrong me, Pansy. Really you do. Is it villainous of me to wish to warn you?
To warn me about what? If you have cooked up some fresh scheme to bring about my downfall, save your breath. You'll need it when you run.
Just a moment, my fine lady. And do you remember Miss Beatrice Hudnut, who was once engaged to your late husband?
Of course I remember Miss Hudnut. What about her?
I see that you are quite willing to talk to me now. You're not quite as haughty as you were, are you?
I was just startled from hearing a name from the past.
Oh, I see. So the mention of Miss Beatrice Hudnut's name caused you to lose your composure because you hadn't heard it in a long time? Or was it because you were afraid your past had been discovered?
My past? I have nothing to fear.
Oh, no. Then what about your sister-in-law, Miss Marcella Payne? Would you enjoy having Beatrice Hudnut tell her about your wealthy relatives, about your influential family?
You demon!
Calling me harsh names isn't going to help you out of your present situation, Pansy.
This villain has me in his power. Oh, why did I allow Hillary to state my past in such an extravagant manner? It was my first false step.
And now, Pansy, would you enjoy having Miss Marcella learn that you were raised in an orphanage, uncertain of your real origins?
You wouldn't dare.
You forget that I am in the employ of the Payne family. It is my duty to put them straight about you.
But I had nothing to do with the stories that Hillary circulated about my past, nor did he wish to harm anyone. He only meant to make my life easier by giving me a wealthy background.
A likely story. I'm sure that Miss Marcella will not want to believe ill of a brother whose memory she cherishes so.
What do you hope to gain by all this, Gaylord Duckworth?
I shall remain silent about your past upon one condition.
Name it.
That you yield to my wishes and become mine. In a short course of time, we shall be wed. Come, Pansy, let us seal the bargain with a kiss.
No, no, 1,000 times no. You contemptible cur!
You have sealed your fate, Pansy. Prepare to leave this house at once.
I shall do no such thing. I shall go to Miss Marcella, throw myself upon her mercy, and tell her the truth.
If you do not leave this house now and forever, I shall have you arrested and placed in jail.
Why, that is absurd. I have committed no crime.
And I say that you have. Both Nurse Bullock and I thought that Hillary's heart attack was much too sudden to cause his death. You murdered him so that you could get him out of the way and be free of him forever.
That is a villainous falsehood, and you know it.
Nurse Bullock, the day after Hillary's funeral, found an empty bottle of poison in one of the drawers of your dressing table.
There's not a word of truth in that accusation, you fiend.
Why, every word of it is true, as I shall testify to. I have the empty bottle of poison in my possession. You and you alone are responsible for Hillary Payne's sudden death, Pansy Payne.
Nurse Bullock and I don't wish to be too hard on you, Pansy, so we won't press charges for your crime. But unless you promise to leave this house immediately and never return, we shall have you branded before the eyes of the world as a murderess.
Think what that will mean to your little daughter. Why, for the rest of her life, people will point the finger of scorn at her.
Oh, no, I couldn't bear it.
Dawson, get Mrs. Payne's wrap. She is leaving.
The leaving, sir? I'm afraid I don't understand.
Dawson, do as Mr. Duckworth bids and be quick about it.
Oh, very good, nurse.
But where will I go? I am alone and friendless. How will I house and feed my little heliotrope?
Oh, you may leave her here for the present. And pick her up sometime when you've been settled. You see, both Nurse Bullock and I don't wish to be too hard on you, Pansy.
Here's your little one, Miss Pansy. She took her formula like the little angel that she is.
Oh, my precious.
It does a body good to see the way she loves that babe.
How tragic is my plight. I am innocent, but the world might judge me guilty of having poisoned Hillary. If I were to stay here, but no, it wouldn't be right to heap shame and misery upon an innocent babe. I shall make the supreme sacrifice. I shall leave here for my child's sake.
I have watched your wrap, Miss Pansy.
Thank you, Dawson.
Are you sure you're strong enough to go out, Miss Pansy?
Yes, Dawson, quite certain. Dawson, promise me that you'll take care of her while I'm gone. Promise me that you'll be a good mother to Heliotrope.
Mother? Why, of course, who could help but love such a sweet, wet babe?
Take her into Miss Amelia and have her change her.
I will. Miss Amelia may be dumb, but she certainly knows how to carry for a babe. Oh, my Lord.
And now I must go out into the cold, cruel world and find a place for myself. I am an orphan, adrift on life's sea, a piece of flotsam and jetsam. Oh, will this awful pain in my heart ever cease? Oh, woe is me. Oh, lack a day.
I have told you all along that I dislike the girl, Pansy. Dorothy?
She's gone. So, our little scheme has worked admirably.
Pansy! Oh, Pansy!
Who are you looking for, Mr. Kisselberg?
Where is she? I mean, where is Mrs. Payne?
I'm afraid you'll have to ask her yourself, provided you ever see her again.
Oh, this is some of your dirty work, you two for a penny hound. I'll deal with you later.
Stop! Where are you going?
I'm going to find Pansy and bring her back here if I have to search every corner of the earth for her.
Suppose he does find her Why, that's an excellent idea, Miss Marcella, and one that I subscribe to wholeheartedly. Why should you be burdened with the care of a little girl? Now I must put Heliotrope to bed.
Mrs. Hedda Barrington to see you, Miss Marcella.
Oh, good evening, Hedda. I've been expecting you.
How stunning you look, Marcella. But then I always say, quote, fine feathers make fine birds, quote.
Midge was asking about you just a few minutes ago. Would you like to join the others?
I'd like to have a few words with you first.
About Basil, no doubt.
But how did you know that, Marcella?
Oh, just call it my woman's intuition, if you will. Oh, but do go on, Hedda. At least when she's talking about her tiresome son, she isn't tearing others apart.
Well, first of all, I can't quite understand why Basil started to work in your cheese factory a few months ago.
Oh, but he explained that by saying that he wanted to prove to Midge that he could earn his own living. She implied that Basil is a ne'er-do-well who can't support himself.
Why, I don't know about that. Basil certainly can support himself. Look, we have plenty of money. There's no need for Basil to work. After all, to think of my son working in your cheese factory of all places.
Oh, well, you should rejoice that we were able to find a place for your boy. Hey, factory is not an ordinary cheese factory.
And there's nothing ordinary about the things that the Smelly brings home every evening. If he keeps continuing to bring the odor home, he'll smell me out of house and home.
Well, then I take it that you wish me to discharge Basil, is that it?
Oh, no, nothing like that. Basil says he enjoys his work. It's just lately I've noticed that Basil has something on his mind.
Impossible.
What?
Oh, I mean, whatever gave you that impression, Hedda?
I just know that he's troubled about something and he absolutely refuses to tell me what it is.
Oh, it's probably a matter of trifling importance. I wouldn't give it another thought. And now, Hedda, come, let's find the other.
Eureka! At last the night of my triumph is at hand. Before this evening is over, I shall persuade Midge Payne to elope with me, and the Payne fortune will be mine forever. I must work back.
Gaylord, I'd hoped to have an opportunity of speaking with you alone this evening.
Ah, Dorothy, you look simply ravishing this evening. No doubt you are glad to be back in the employ of the Payne family once more.
Well, I must admit things are much more pleasant around here now that pansy Payne is out of the way. By the way, have you had any news of her lately?
No. The tale that I manufactured for Miss Marcella about Pansy's elopement was pure fabrication. I did it to prejudice her against Pansy so that she could never enter this abode again.
And you've not heard a word from her since she left here just 1 year ago this evening?
Well, of course not. I have told you repeatedly that the last managed to elude the two men I had waiting outside to spirit her away. Just as Fairfax Kisselberg hasn't been able to find any trace of her, so all my efforts to locate her have been in vain.
And why are you so anxious to locate her? Gaylord?
Curiosity for one thing. Then, too, it was through our efforts that she left here, and I sort of feel responsible for her. Don't you suppose I have a conscience, Dorothy?
A conscience? You?
Of course, I assure you that I have.
Then doesn't it bother you when you think of the fact that for over a year now you've promised to marry me, yet I still have to slave for my living?
Now, let's not start that all over again, Dorothy.
Why
I will announce our engagement when I feel the time is propitious. Don't force me to bandy quarrelsome words with you, Dorothy. You know how I dislike scenes.
But we will be wed soon. Promise me. Yea, Lord.
I promise you that there will be a wedding before too long. But it will be my wedding to Midge Payne and not this pill dispenser.
Here's my head coat, Dawson. You needn't bother to announce me.
Basil Barrington, leave me alone with him, Dorothy.
As you will. I feel so much better now that I have your promise of an early marriage.
Little simpleton, thank fortune I'll soon be rid of her forever.
Duckworth! What are you doing here? I thought you weren't coming to the party tonight.
I changed my mind. Decided I'd come after all. I hope it won't put you out, Barrington.
Why, no. Well, why should it?
And tell me, have you heard any news about your investment in the Texas oil lands?
Shh, not so loud. Somebody might hear you.
And you wouldn't want your fond mother to know that if not for me, you would have been ruined financially.
Stop that now. Must we discuss it here?
I hope you realize that it isn't everyone who would loan you $500 without any security.
I know that, and I admit it was good of you, but I needed the $500 or the oil options in the fields in Texas would have expired.
Yes, and it was dangerous of you to do speculating with your mother's money.
It was not speculation. It was an investment. What's wrong with trying to make a fortune in oil?
You'll find out.
Yeah, you mean I've already found out. You insisted I'd take that $500 just so I'd become your tool and do your dirty work.
If you don't like the arrangement, you can end our association any time by paying me back the $500 that I gave you.
You know I can't do that now, but someday I will. Then I won't have to take orders from you anymore.
But until that day comes, you will do exactly as I say.
Well, what do you want me to do now?
Don't be alarmed. It's quite simple. Do you see this box?
Yes, I see it.
I have discovered that Fairfax Kisselberg is working at the factory tonight. You have the keys to the factory now that you are employed there, haven't you?
Yes, but I don't see
I
it.
want you to place this box down at the factory, outside the room that Kisselberg is working in, but close by.
But what's in the box?
A time bomb that will blow Fairfax Kisselberg to pieces is in my way and must be destroyed.
No, I won't do it. I can't have murder on my conscience.
Then I shall find somebody else to place this bomb.
That's entirely up to you.
No doubt your fond mother will be decidedly upset when I go to her this evening and tell her that her son owes me $500, the payment of which I demand immediately.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't dare.
Oh, wouldn't I? Watch and see.
Oh, no, don't go. I'll do it. If Mother heard of my plight, it would break her proud heart and probably kill her.
That's better. I thought you'd listen to reason. Here, take this.
But when do you want me to take this down to the factory?
There's plenty of time. I'll let you know when I want you to start. In the meantime, place that bomb, or hide that bomb somewhere where no one will meddle with it.
But listen, Duckworth, isn't there some other way? What's so important about getting Kisselberg out of the way anyhow?
Oh, Big Cheese. Why, he's made several threats against my life of late. His time has come to die.
Oh, but it's so heartless that he dies without having a chance to defend himself.
Egad, you are trying my patience sorely, Barrington. Do exactly as I say, or it will go hard with you.
Can I be of some service to you, Mr. Barrington?
Oh, why, no, well, that is...
Nice to have had this little talk, Barrington. Now I shall go and pay my respects to the ladies.
I must find a way to stop Gaylord Duckworth and bring him to justice. Oh, Dawson.
Yes, Mr. Barrington.
Dawson, I'd like you to do me a little favor, please.
I am entirely at your service.
Would you take this box outside carefully and hide it near the house where nobody is apt to find it?
Hide this box outside the house, sir? Why, most certainly. Be glad to do it for you.
Oh, thank you, Dawson. Thank you. You see, I want to play a little joke on somebody.
Oh, I do hope on that dreadful Duckworth creature, sir.
Oh, yes, a joke on Gaylord Duckworth. That's it. Be careful, though.
I certainly will. I'll take this box right now and hide it, sir.
Oh, thank you, Dawson.
But, sir, I'm sorry. I don't mean to intrude in your private affairs, but I haven't seen you and Miss Midge throwing horseshoes, sir, quite some time.
You see, I've been so busy down at the factory, I haven't had time for horseshoes.
Well, I know a fellow back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, most proficient at throwing horseshoes. Charming fellow, also. But the poor chap came to a very sudden death when he was hit in the head and killed by an errant-thrown shoe just before they were going to declare him the state champion. He died, and they buried him. And 2 days later, on his tombstone, they carved this: "Here lies a dead ringer for a state champion." Well, now to hide this box, sir, I certainly hope your little joke goes off, sir.
Oh, he'll do that all right.
And I'll be anything I can do for you, sir. Don't hesitate to call. Hide this box.
Oh, many happy returns of the day, beautiful.
Thank you, Basil. I thought that perhaps you were coming to my party.
Oh, as if anything could keep me away. Do you realize it's been 3 whole days since the last time I proposed to you?
I know. I thought that maybe you had changed your mind about wanting to marry me.
Oh, never. A Barrington always lives up to his word.
Basil, do you realize that you're holding my hand?
Yes, I do. And it feels good, too.
Oh, Basil, you're so daring.
Midge, are you going to marry me tonight or not?
I've made up my mind, but I won't give you my answer.
Well, why not? What are we waiting for?
However, I will give you my answer before this evening is over.
You mean that? Hooray! Something tells me she's going to make an honest man of me after all of these years.
Excuse the intrusion, Mr. Barrington, but I just want to tell you, sir, that everything is handled most satisfactorily, sir. Most satisfactorily.
Basil, what did Dawson mean by that?
Oh, nothing. Just a little secret between Dawson and me.
Oh, indeed. Well, don't forget that you're not to have any secrets at all from me after we are married.
After we're married? Midge, do you realize what you just said?
Well, that just slipped out. Now remember, I don't want anyone to know that I've accepted you yet.
Who can that be? Isn't everybody here yet?
Oh, you know, there are always bound to be latecomers for a party.
Don't bother to announce me, Dawson. I'm only going to stay a few minutes.
Oh, why, it's Kisselberg.
Hello, Barrington. Enjoying Miss Midge's party?
Oh, I sure am. But if you'll excuse me now, I have to go find Mother.
Many happy returns, Miss Midge.
Oh, thank you, Fairfax. I'm so glad that you came to the party.
I can only stay a few minutes. But tell me, have you had any word from her?
You mean from Pansy? Not a word, Fairfax.
I was so hoping she'd communicate with you on this, your birthday.
I had hoped so, too. Perhaps she thinks that we have forgotten her, that out of sight is out of mind.
I only know that ever since she's been out of my sight, I've been out of my mind. I'll never stop caring for her, Midge.
Oh, I feel so bad. If only there was something that I could do.
There's nothing anyone can do. I've tried in every way to find some trace of Pansy, but it's as if the earth had opened and swallowed her up.
But anyway, you certainly have improved since she last saw you. I'm so glad that you took that course in English.
I do try to study in the evening whenever a literary opportunity comes by that presents an affordable, plausible opportunity for literary...
Well, would you like to dance?
I'd like to, but I have a lot of work to do down at the factory.
You will excuse me, won't you, Miss Midge?
Of course, I understand.
Oh, would you tell your sister why I couldn't stay?
Certainly.
Everything is the same as when I left. Only I have changed. Hopelessly beaten. A victim of Gaylord Duckworth's black infamy. Will I ever get a glimpse of my child without my true identity being revealed? I cannot live another day without sight of my innocent babe.
Are you looking for somebody, miss?
I've come to apply for the position as nursemaid.
Why that face? Can it be?
Is the position still available, Dawson?
Who are you? How can you, a stranger, know that I am called Dawson?
I am forced to throw myself upon your mercy.
Miss Pansy!
Shh! No one must know that I am here.
But I don't understand it.
When I saw the ad in the paper for nursemaid, I was tortured with fear concerning my little one. Oh, tell me, Dawson, is she ill?
Oh, you have no fear on that score, Miss Pansy. The child is wonderful and in excellent health. Excellent.
Oh, thank fortune for that. But you will help me, won't you, Dawson?
Of course I'll do anything you wish, but I'm really not sure what you
I
want.
only asked to see my child, to press her to me once, to feel her lips on mine. Surely that's not too much for a mother to ask.
Why, of course not, Miss Pansy, but where's your husband? Didn't he come with you?
I have no husband, Dawson. What do you mean?
Well, always the perfect butler. I overheard Miss Marcella tell Nurse Bullock that the reason you left her was to elope with a strange man.
What?
Well, that's what she said. That Gaylord Duckworth told her that.
Is there no limit to that fiend's infamy? Not a word of truth in his statement regarding me is true. Oh, Dawson, you will listen to a mother's plea and arrange for me to see my little one, won't you?
Of course I will, Miss Pansy, of course.
Come along then, Midge.
Gaylord Duckworth, if my presence is discovered here, I am ruined.
Quick, you must hide.
Hide? But where?
How do I know? I'm not the hero, I'm only the butler. Behind the sofa. Behind the screen.
Isn't it a wonderful party, Mr. Duckworth?
Why, any party given in your honor would be wonderful, my little girl. You may go, Dawson.
With pleasure.
Haven't you any idea what I want to ask you, my dear?
Why, no, of course not. How could I have? But before you ask me your question, I have something that I want to tell you.
Oh, really? What is that?
Before this evening is over, I am going to announce my engagement to Basil Barrington.
What?
Isn't it the news just too exciting to believe? Doesn't it make you just want to tingle all over?
Curses, I am foiled again! I never tingle.
Of course, we won't be married until June. You see, I've always wanted to be a June bride.
Yes, of course. This is a pretty kettle of fish indeed. Have all my efforts to gain control of the Payne fortune been in vain? Yes. But no. I have one more trick up my sleeve. Now, to pull my master stroke.
But you haven't offered me your congratulations yet, Mr. Duckworth.
I'm sorry, Miss Midge. Why, I'm sorry, but my mind was elsewhere.
Elsewhere? You mean that you haven't been listening to what I've been telling you?
Oh, I heard you, of course, but I was thinking about a letter that I received today. At first, I decided not to tell you about it, but I see now that that wouldn't be fair to you.
A letter? What sort of a letter was it?
It was a letter from your sister-in-law, Pansy Payne.
From Pansy? You received a letter from Pansy?
Yes. She wrote that she was in dire trouble, alone and very ill, and begged me, nay, beseeched me to bring you to her at once.
Oh, but if she's sick and needs me, why didn't she write directly to me?
She explained that by saying that she was afraid the letter would fall into other hands if she sent it to this house, and that you would never receive it. Will she be taken by my trap? once I have her alone and away from this house, I shall force her to marry me. All fair in love and finances.
Oh, but what am I to do if Pansy is sick and alone and needs me? I must
There's
go.
only one thing to do. We must leave here at once. Come!
Stop!
You! Curses, I must move carefully or I am ruined.
Mitch, thank fortune I arrived in time to save you from this blackguard.
Why, Pansy, how can you speak that way about me when I've always tried to be your friend?
Pansy Payne! How dare you show your face inside these drawers?
If I hadn't arrived when I did, your little sister Midge might have been lost to you forever.
What do you mean?
I mean, this fiend was trying to entice Midge away from here.
Why, Pansy, how can you say such a thing? I was only trying to help you.
Midge, what is the meaning of all of this?
But it's true, Marcella. He was going to take me away. He said that Pansy was sick and alone and that she needed me. There, you see? Finally, Gaylord Duckworth, you are trapped by your own deception.
Well, here, this is the way you treat my great kindness towards you, is it? Have you forgotten that if not for me, you would be facing a charge of murder?
Murder? It's true, Miss Marcella. Pansy Payne poisoned your brother Hillary. I have the empty bottle of poison in my possession. I found it in the drawer of her dressing table.
Murder? Oh, this is dreadful. Oh, good evening, everybody. Oh, there you are, my sweet.
Why, Beatrice, what are you doing here?
Now that's a funny thing to be saying to your fiancé.
What? You are engaged to marry Gaylord?
But of course, we're to be married tomorrow. Didn't he tell you?
Gaylord, is this true?
Why, don't be a fool, Dorothy. I'm sure that you understand everything.
I understand that you are even lower than Pansy Payne gave you credit for me.
You tell him, Cabbage, you got the head for it.
Gaylord forced Hillary's widow to leave here. I only aided him because of his promise to make me his wife.
But I thought you told me that you disliked this pill dispenser as you were wont to call her.
Oh, that's what he called me, is it? Well, I can see now that I am well rid of this wretched traitor.
Now, Dorothy, I'm...
Not another word, you cur!
Nurse, I want the truth. Was the story you just told us about finding an empty bottle of poison in Pansy's dressing table true or false?
It was absolutely false. And without any foundation. Your brother Hillary died of nettles. I can swear to that.
It seems that you've been a naughty boy, Ducky. Nurse, I think you and I had better be better acquainted. It's not every day that two girls find themselves engaged to the same.
Fairfax Chiselberg, what is that in his hands? If I am ruined.
Oh, Miss Marcella, I've just made a most important discovery.
What is it?
While searching through some of your brother Marmaduke's papers this evening, I came across this. It's his last will and testament, made out in witness just 2 days before he died.
Oh, why, this will changes everything.
Of course it does. Your brother Marmaduke divided his estate evenly. 1/3 to you, Miss Marcella, 1/3 to Miss Midge, and 1/3 to Hilary Payne or his nearest heirs.
Something tells me that the game is up. I played for high stakes, but I lost.
Heliotrope and I are Hilary's only heirs.
Pansy! You've come back!
You do remember me. You haven't forgotten me, Fairfax.
Forgotten you? Never! You look lovelier than ever. Those eyes, those lips, that gentle hair cascading about your neck.
I'll soon find out.
Oh, what? Where's Gaylord Duckworth? He's gone. Why, he's run off. I'll like him.
Oh, what I want to know is if Duckworth ducked you, or did he duck me?
Well, it's all over, folks. Won't have to worry about Duckworth bothering anybody anymore.
You mean he made good his getaway?
No, that explosion we heard blew him the smithereens. It also took care of Dawson's pet chicken. And it was poetic justice, too.
What was poetic justice?
The time bomb. It was meant to kill you. Instead, it killed him. You see, Fairfax, I saved your life tonight.
Well, I'm certainly indebted to you for that, Barrington.
Oh, think nothing of it, old boy.
Well, if you will excuse me, I must be on my way. Well, I must be leaving now. I'll be in the kitchen if you need me, Miss Marcella.
A telegram for you, Mr. Barrington. It was delivered here from your house, sir.
Oh, me? Thank you, Dawson. Oh, hooray! This is the best news I could ever receive.
What is it, Basil?
Well, it seems all those options I took on the oil fields in Texas, well, the oil came in, and it's worth a fortune. From rags to riches.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It sure is. Let's go find Mother. Tell her the good news and set the date for our wedding.
Pansy, where have you been all this time?
Alone and sick most of the time, Fairfax, and aching for some news of my babe.
But that night you left here just a year ago, it was...
The dark waters of despair closed in around me. When I left the house, 2 men accosted me, but I managed to escape them and hid in a field outside of town all night.
Poor Pansy, and through no fault of your own.
Yes, part of it was my fault. You see, I should have told everyone I was an orphan when I first came here. And that is true? Yes, quite true. But I have found out that my parents were respectable people and that they loved each other devotedly.
Do you mean that while you were away from here, you found someone who knew them?
Yes, a school teacher who was a friend of my mother's. She gave me a photograph of her. She was lovely, my mother, as lovely as her name, Eloise.
What did you say your mother's name was, Pansy?
Her married name was Eloise Fenton. Would you like to see a picture of her, Dawson?
Yes, I would if you don't mind.
Of course not.
My own Eloise. Yes, child, you are my daughter, and I am your father. My name is Stephen Fenton. Your mother died shortly after you were born, and I was ill from the shock and had you placed in a home. And then when I tried to find you, you were gone.
You are my father.
Daughter, we found each other at last. And never to be parted again, and I will make up to you for all the unhappiness that I've caused you.
Oh, Dawson!
Yes,
Finch
Mr.
wants to see you right away.
Yes, Mr. Barrington, sir. Always the perfect butler.
I suppose you realize, Pansy, that 1/3 of my brother Marmaduke's estate goes to you.
But I don't want the money for myself, Marcella. It shall all go to my child to take care of her future.
Oh, well, suit yourself. I just want you to know that I don't bear you any ill will.
Oh, and nor do I you. Why, I feel sorry for you, Marcella.
You feel sorry for me?
Yes, because I have so much and you have so little. I have my precious babe to fill my life with love and laughter. And you have nothing. Nothing but material things that can never bring you real happiness.
Oh, but I have...
And when Midge marries, you'll be all alone except for the servants.
I know. That's why I've tried to prevent her from marrying. Oh, Pansy, I've been a selfish, miserable boy. But it's too late to do anything about it.
It's never too late. Why, I'm sure your future will be so much brighter if you'll just learn to have some understanding for others.
Oh, yes. Oh, bless you, Pansy. And now I'll go stay with Helios. Oh, Joy, 1 minute, I'm going to paint the blue room pink. Oh, here comes Pansy Marcella. Oh,
Pansy, where are you going?
Upstairs to see my babe. Come what may, I shall never leave her again. From now on, I'm going to be a real mother to Heliotrope.
And so am I.
What's that?
I mean, the girl will need a father, and I'm applying for the position